Hello, welcome to our webinar today on how to detect single action risks in your SAP system with and without VOQUZ, the tool. Today with me is Tomislav Limbevsky from our consulting team. Hey, Tomislav.
Hi, Jens.
Yeah,
Nice
and my name is Jens Kettler. I'm responsible for our VOQUZ product here at VOQUZ Labs. Actually, today we are speaking about a topic that is closely related to what we discussed in our, I think, most recent webinar. That was about how to detect violations of segregation of duty rules. So that means users have authorizations to do certain things and they actually also use them, and how you can detect that on a document level with like very simple do-it-yourself methods, what Tomislav showed. And actually, we have a link to a blog article up there. Do-it-yourself SOD violations. If you scan the QR code, you can jump to that blog article that summarizes what we discussed. What Tomislav showed is how you can use the SAP Query Viewer to analyze on a document level whether a user violated an existing SOD rule. I think example we used was he created a vendor and then he entered a purchase order for the same vendor. We also discussed the limitations of that approach, but we believe still that this is very easy to do, and like 80% of the results you might be able to catch, you will catch with this approach within a few minutes. And the advantage was also, because it was using the SAP Query Viewer, is that all the queries that you create there, you can rerun at a later time as well. And like that, you can build a library of these SOD controls that you can run in the system from time to time, every month or so, and have these implemented as an additional internal controls, mitigating existing risks in your authorization concept. So I think that's a very helpful article. One of the limitations was that you cannot see changes in these with this approach that were made to certain business objects or documents. And that's because changes are recorded by SAP and logged by SAP in what's called change documents. And we are going to have a look at that today. And we took as an example what you can do and how we can work with these change documents. We took the topic of single action risks, not segregation of duty, which involves two actions and which would be more complex to do. But as a kind of introduction to that topic, we're looking at single action risks. What is this? Single action risks. Now, it's one activity that in itself is already risky and can impact significantly the financial integrity, data accuracy, or also cause waste, abuse, errors, and loss of money, actually. We're going to look at specific example there. The nature of this thing is it's so to say, an insider threat, or it's an error that can be maybe even caused by an insider, so by an existing SAP user that has proper SAP authorizations to conduct that activity, often in line with the existing business rules. So the authorization was not excessively granted or by accident or whatever, but it is within his normal job tasks to do these activities. And the analysis will not be on the authorization level, whether a user can do something, but it will be on the action that was actually performed. So we do a did-do analysis, not a can-do analysis. There's many examples of single actions that can be risky: changes of prices, changes of amounts that need to be paid, changes of critical fields in, for instance, in master data. And there's also preventive controls for that. We took the example today that Tomislav is going to share in a few minutes, is kind of related to vendor master data. But there is other examples as well. We found one case published in the Finance Manager magazine, depicted below here, where it was about asset misappropriation and actually altering the amounts of stock. That would be another example. If you change inventory numbers, it's easy to kind of steal stock from a company. So, but today, different topic that Tomislav will be presenting. It's about changes, critical changes to certain types of master data. We know there are preventive measures one can take. I think, Tomislav, you will address this as well, how you can set up so-called sensitive fields in master data in SAP. And if you do that, then this will trigger a workflow where a second user has to approve changes that are made to those fields. But we are talking about the detective approach, how you can actually analyze SAP change documents, different approaches. And Tomislav will walk us through that in the demo coming up right now.
Okay, thank you, Jens. So now what we will do, we will see how the standard SAP setup for setting up a dual control works. So basically, this is done via ESPRA transaction, which is the customization transaction for SAP. Then the user should go to the financial accounting view, then accounts receivable, accounts payable, vendor accounts, master data, preparations for creating vendor master data, and we have this execution button here that defines sensitive fields for dual control vendors. Then we can select it. So in our system, we have set up a couple of fields which work as a sensitive field, but if needed, those can be easily added. So basically, here we have a list of fields which are actually fields from the address data. Then we have fields from the LFA1, which is the general data of vendor accounts. Then we have LFB1 for the company code data, and LFBK, which are the bank details. So when we have selected which field, then we just save and go back and we have the list. So what will happen actually in this case? So whenever a user enters a new vendor or goes and modifies an existing vendor, then a second user will need to approve these changes. What will happen in meantime? So if a vendor has if for this vendor has been posted an invoice and the changes has not been approved, actually when the payment run runs, this invoice will be rejected because these approvals have not been made. So this is something which is standard in SAP and it can be set up, but does not necessarily mean that it will be set up. But what I want to show you next is actually how you can monitor what has been done in the system. So there are a couple of options which I want to show you. So the first one will be how we can use the SQI, which we showed in the previous webinar. So as we mentioned here, so first we need to add the name, then we click on create. So here we will add a table because the SDPOS table is actually a cluster table and it's not possible to use it in such a join. And we will monitor and analyze the alternative vendor field. Okay, so I'll just repeat some of the steps which were previously done in the previous recording. So here we select object class as a selection. We will display the change number, the user who has created, and the date when it's created. Just to add the creation date as a selection. Then this is the next screen from the SQI. Here we will select this object class CRED. So a bit of an info, everything that has been changed in SAP goes to a certain object class, which contains all the changes which were done for certain types of tables. Now I will select as a selection date the 1st of November, and I will add till the end of this month. So here there has been one change which was made, and this is the document number by which this information is stored in SAP. So the options here is either you create a new query with the SQVI, or another option is just to open a new session, go to SC16N, then type in CDPOS here, and just add the change object class CRED and add the document number in the change number field. So this field, and this will show us what has been changed and when we have when previously, but we have what has been changed now in this table. So this is an status change of which is done automatically because of the dual control which was set up previously. Another option which is also available, and it's standard in SAP, is by using the RSSCD100 table transaction. So in this transaction, you can add the object class, then you can also select from and to date and just run it. And this is the list of what has been changed. It's a bit more user-friendly. And yeah, so this is the confirmation status which I mentioned earlier, and it has been done automatically by SAP because of dual control which we set up previously. And this is the alternative payee which is added to the master data of this vendor account. Another alternative method is by using the VOQUZ tool, and one of the sub-tools within it. So it's a single action tool, and it's fairly easy and straightforward for usage. So how it can be used? So basically, just click on Add Item, name the rule ID. I will put it VOQUZ5. Check ID, I will also put alternative payee 5. The object, same as previously, it's CRED. Just name the label. This is the horizon days by which we will look into the past. This is the table which we will monitor, and the field. And finally, put a user-friendly name in order to be recognized afterwards. Then click on Save. The next step is go to the admin transaction. Here is the list of all the possible controls in VOQUZ, plus it has added here the new single action control, which needs to be selected as active, saved, and finally executed. So this has been completed already, and now I can go to the alerts transaction and see the actual results. It's taken some time to process this because we have a lot of alerts in the tool. So now the alert has been created, and it is displayed in this folder here, and it's alternative payee 5. So it's single action, alternative payee 5. This is the description which I added. And here we have the system where this happened, the client, the vendor, what field was changed, what was the previous value, what is the new value, what type of indicator is this, either it's an insert, update, or deletion, and value at risk, the user who created this, which vendor, and when it happened. And this is the date when the alert itself was created in the system. So basically, this is in short how we can identify all this and monitor all these single actions in SAP.
Okay, cool. Thank you, Tomislav. So as Tomislav also just showed, detecting single action risks and activities, risky activities, is also part of the VOQUZ platform and can be set up very easily. If you would like to better understand how that works in your environment, what we offer is a free trial of the software right now. It's a few easy steps that need to be done. Install our add-on software, which is usually a thing of a few minutes. And then together with you, we can set up a number of these controls specifically for you, run it, you will get all the results on the same day. That's definitely the easiest way, given all the limitations that these manual approaches have, if you want to cover this and have automated test cases for that. So much for that. And now we are going into the Q&A session.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Jens. And hi, my cat. Thank you guys for joining the webinar. Thanks for this very insight, for a lot of insights here regarding detecting single action risks. My name is Stefan. I'm taking care of the webinar in the technical sense, and we'll help go through the questions. And before we go through the questions, I'd actually like to go through a poll with you guys. It consists of 4 questions. Compliance is not a problem because you don't, it's anonymous. It's just a yes or no question, so we see where we stand. If you want to take part of it, fine. If not, it's fine. For us, it's even a good indicator, even if it's only, I don't know, 7, 8, 9, 10 of you participating. I'm going to start it off now, and you're going to see it popping up on the screen. And I'm curious what you say about the relay. Yeah, it would be good if the cat wouldn't bite my cable here. So I hope you still hear me. Here we go. Launching the poll. And the first one is implementing access violation management critical for maintaining security in SAP systems? I hope the answer to this one is obvious, but let's see what happens. It also depends on what your focus is on. I'm going to leave this open for another 3 seconds and closing it in 3 seconds from now. Make your clicks, make your last bets, please. Closing and showing the results. I'm not sure. I'm not too happy. What do you think, Jens?
I think it's not a preventive measure. Obviously, monitoring is something that comes with what happened or detecting something in audit. So I think there's two approaches one can always take in a system. Often it's considered as better to have a preventive measure, but very often it's not possible to have all the preventive measures in place. And then the easy solution is monitoring or an audit. We have this noise. I'm not sure if it's my microphone or okay.
Yeah, I was listening also the same, so I wasn't sure what's happening.
Sorry for that. Hope it's not annoying. So I think monitoring often is the easier way to mitigate a risk rather than a preventive measure. And then in that case, it's a practical way of doing it. Maybe it's not the best way sometimes. Yeah.
Let's jump to the next one. Number 2 out of 4. I'm gonna share it on screen. And the question is, can access risks, so single action risks or SOD violations in SAP be effectively monitoring using standard SAP tools alone? So do you feel it's enough for you to have only your SAP tools in place there? Leaving this open for 5 seconds from now to see what you guys say and think and how you do it in your company. Okay. Closing in 3, 2, 1, and showing the results. Okay. 75% think with SAP tools alone is absolutely fine. What do you think, Jens?
I mean, monitoring is a continuous process, right? So it means something is running in the background and monitoring that. And in case you find a violation of a business rule, you actively maybe even notify somebody, and that's not possible in SAP with standard SAP tools. Maybe if you have additional SAP products such as enterprise threat detection, ETD, or you buy business integrity screening. If you use additional products, then yes, that's of course possible, but not in the standard S/4HANA or ERP system alone.
maybe crucial news for some. Going over to the third question out of 4. Launching now, you should be able to see it on the screen. And the question is, are business process owners involved in defining and managing access risks? So are the process owners involved, or is it just a technical situation? Is it a task for somebody who's dedicated to this?
Yeah, I would expect it's 100% of people say yes.
You'd
At least
be
for the
surprised. Let's see.
yeah. I mean,
Mhm.
because who's building an authorization concept, right? Or who is setting up SAP security mechanisms? It's the SAP basis team, and I think without consulting with the business side,
Let me show you what it says.
Yeah, maybe you have some consultant or an expert in your team. Maybe it's not the process owner itself, but probably that's the default way, which is also kind of
what you're trying to say is people should be talking to each other, and it should be involved. It should be sort of a team effort from different perspectives. Is that your point?
Yeah. Well put.
Jumping to the last one out of 4. You should be able to see it on your screen now. And the question is pretty straightforward. Is the IT department solely responsible for mitigating access risks? So is it the IT department's fault, let's put it this way, when something goes wrong, or should this be a joint effort? Okay, that was quite a manipulating question now. Let's see what happens. Leaving this open for another 3 seconds. And I'm happy about this one. Have a look at this, Jens.
Yeah, I mean, the actual mitigation, what is the actual mitigation? Somebody should review the business transaction that happened, so to say. And I think it's not the IT department that should do this, but I'm strongly in favor of giving this to the business. I mean, let's take these examples of you. Somebody is making a manual journal entry. That's a single action. Or somebody is manually changing a payment term. How can the IT department decide whether that change is appropriate or not?
Is right or not?
IT cannot.
Good point. Thanks you all for participating in this and giving a slight overview where you stand on the topic. I'll move over to the questions. As you know, please use the question section here, the chat, to ask one's live. If you don't think it has place here, if it's too complicated, if it's something where you want a wholesome answer, please reach out to us using labs@voquuzlabs.com. I'm going to share that with Jens and Tomislav. Both are also present on LinkedIn. So if you feel that way of communication is better suitable for you, then go for it. And over to the first question that I have here. Let me just perform some multitasking here. So here we go. I'm going to read it out as it is. We are using a SIEM system, so Security Information and Event Management System. How can we get data for such monitoring into our SIEM? Is that possible?
As far as I know, most of the SIEM systems in the market have an SAP connector that is able to read data from SAP tables. Change documents are in, as Tomislav just showed, not in a transparent table. They're in a cluster table, and I think they're not accessible so easily. So I think that will be a little bit difficult. The other aspect comes to what was also addressed in the questions. I expect a SIEM system, the typical user is a cybersecurity expert. So what does this person do with the information that some business data was changed? He needs to go to the business and work with the business to resolve that. So I think the SIEM system might not even be the right place for many of the events that we try to address, which are usually on the business side. Yes, you can do SAP security monitoring where you look at failed logons or certain other things, which is maybe more like in the cybersecurity realm. But I think many of the business issues should be forwarded to the business team and not to the cybersecurity team.
Excellent. Thanks for that. Going over to the second one I have here, and this is about customization as far as I see. For which data can I define sensitive fields?
I don't know, maybe Tomislav, you have a more complete list. I don't have the SAP documentation at hand. So it's most of the critical master data for business partners, for materials. It's also for financial documents. So it's for a lot of data, but not for everything, let's say. I don't have the complete list here.
Okay, if you guys need, if this is not sufficient, especially to the person asking, if you want a detailed list, let us have a look at it and we're going to supply it to you, not a problem at all. The third one is, what are the pros and cons of defining sensitive fields and having an approval workflow versus monitoring? So, which is basically switching everything on the other side of being safe.
Yeah, again, it's always better to have a preventive control. Defining that and then having a workflow and having a 4I principle implemented is great. I think it's maybe not done in many cases because you don't have so many people working there. It's extra workload on people that already are like 100% booked, and now you implement a new process and they have to do additional stuff, and it delays things. Yeah, if you quickly want to change something, then you have to wait for somebody else to approve it. So it's a little bit of a hassle maybe sometimes. And then in that case, I think monitoring is a swift and elegant way to mitigate the risks. It's low effort, low key, does not disturb someone, so to say, and it's easy to implement.
Yeah, and it's not reacting to something that has already happened. I got another one. I don't have access to transactions such as SQVI and SE16, and our IT does not give access. Any workarounds? So it's a classic. Computer says no.
Yeah.
What can we do here?
Probably really no workaround other than maybe buying a product and then using the product to kind of operationalize these steps and have a real business process and then have this embedded into the organization and the processes.
Excellent. Okay, let me just check the other source for questions. We're out of questions now. That was it. Thanks very much for joining, all of you. If you feel there is something missing in our webinar line, and you have a suggestion what Jens and Tomislav could show or focus for the next time, please share it with us. It's quite possible that we're going to follow up that line and then produce a webinar just for you. If you have any detailed question, as I said, reach out to us. And other than that, Jens, your last words, like not forever, but for now.
Hope to see you again soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.